paper on the Art Lewis Show. And a good morning. Welcome to hour number 2 of the Art Lewis Show for this Tuesday morning. It is the 13th of May already. In this hour, we get to talk to the Bay County Executive. We say good morning to Jim Barsha. Jim, good morning.
Good morning, Art, and thanks for having me back on the program.
Oh, thanks for being with us. I want to start. There's something known as the Bay City Area Transportation Study, and I know the county is involved in this. So give us an idea what this is all about and what the outcome is, or what you hope the outcome will be.
Yeah, that's an assembly of local city and township officials, and basically they meet in the county building. We don't have a role in basically we coordinate the meeting of the individuals from the various cities and townships across Bay County. And then what they do is look at regional planning for transportation, and we always have a staff member from the Michigan Department of Transportation who attends either remotely or in person, but to keep the communication going with MDOT and what are perceived to be the local needs that need attention relative to where resources are expended at the local level here in Bay County. Now, keeping in mind that Bay County Art doesn't have a role in transportation. We own no infrastructure. We receive no federal and state gas tax. That would be the Bay County Road Commission, which is a autonomous agency in Bay County. And of course, the local officials receive their funding from the federal and state gas tax directly from MDOT under Public Act 51. But it is a good organization, and it's a good way to interact with MDOT and facilitate discussion, communication, particularly with the rebuilding of the Lafayette Bridge. I know I was there with Alex DeWitt, the new City Commission president, and several other individuals who were given a tour of the progress on the destruction of the current Lafayette Bridge, and we're certainly hoping we weighed in that we hope that this project is completed as quickly as possible, hopefully before the 30-month projected time frame to complete the work there. They're completely removing the Lafayette Bridge and rebuilding the 2 new spans to the middle grounds, and of course the connector that will serve hopefully that part of Bay County's transportation needs for, hopefully generations to come with a brand new bridge.
And that includes the piers that go down in the water and everything. I mean, they stripped it all out, didn't they?
Yes, when we were there last week, they had a huge piece of equipment that was smashing the pillars a little bit at a time. They were coming down. So they are making progress, and we have there are a lot of people, a lot of construction workers on site. But I know that a lot of our local governments participate in the BCATS roundtable, and it's a very good, effort that's made at the local level to communicate needs and concerns.
Does any of it deal with public transportation? There's been a lot of talk about how can we get public transportation or bus service that runs throughout the region rather than the independents that we have now, or how can we get them together to work together so that you can get on a bus in Midland, let's say, and come to Saginaw? It wouldn't take you 7 hours.
Yes, the Great Bay Region Alliance has worked on that issue for several years, Matt Fallon, and also, of course, Bay Future, as well as Saginaw Future and the Business Alliance of Midland. All favor connecting the public transportation network to all 3 counties. One of the challenges, Art, is that in the county of Saginaw, STARS, which is your public transportation agency, is limited to just the city. Only city residents pay millage for STARS, and STARS only services residents within the city. So I know that we're working on looking at how connections could be made to other points in Saginaw County outside the city
Yeah, they do have some service. I know they do some service out to the university and some service out to the Fashion Square Mall area, to the Bawasi Road. They have contracted services to companies outside of the county, for that matter. But yeah, it's not an easy conversation, but really it's one that needs to keep going, doesn't it?
Yeah, I agree. You know, there are a lot of people today that even a lot of young people sometimes aren't getting their driver's licenses immediately and putting off buying an automobile and using other modes of transportation, but particularly for medical appointments or for educational opportunities at the fine universities we have in the three counties, it would be a nice network to have where people could cross the county line if they are using public transport.
Yeah, and that would be beneficial to everyone. Let's talk about a couple of projects going on. Let's your favorite, the animal shelter. How's that doing?
Well, they're ready to break ground. Everything is all set to go. The dog park has been moved to make additional room for the new shelter at the Bay County Fairgrounds on Livingston Street in the city of Bay City, right on the Hampton Township border out on Center Avenue. And we're excited to get the construction underway. I know that Spence Brothers, that won the contract, has a fine record in terms of projects that they've worked on, and so we're real excited to see the walls start going up over at that site, and the ground will be broken very soon on the foundation. There was a little, we did have some, cold weather there for a while, so some of the delay was involving the weather. However, I talked with Spence team last week, and they're ready to go full steam ahead with constructing our new shelter. I also want to compliment the staff. Matt Beaver, who is the Director of Administrative Services who oversees the animal shelter, tells me also that we've got some good news. We've had a successful, adoption program here the last week, which ends on March 15th, and dogs are available for the Clear the Shelter event for a cost of $50 and cats for a cost of $25. And that includes all vaccinations, microchipping, and spay and neutering when they're adopted. So that's a good deal for our residents that would like to acquire a pet, and we have a lot of good pets over there waiting for adoption. Also, we have a free vaccine clinic on May 24th at the shelter from 1 o'clock until 4 p.m., and that involves rabies shots, dog and cat combo vaccines, as well as free microchipping. And so the last two events we had in excess of 400 residents attend.
Oh.
And you do not need an appointment, but it's a very popular event.
Sounds like it.
You can imagine. So, yeah.
All right, I've got to take a break, and we'll come back. We're talking to Bay County Executive Jim Barsha. We'll return with more conversation after these notes.
Switch it up and ride into
Bay County dollars are involved in that, all federal. Now, we all pay federal taxes, but we set aside $9 million of our American Recovery Plan from COVID, the $20 million that Bay County received, toward a new health department. New for us, but a renovated, beautiful building. And then Congressman Kildee secured a $2 million appropriation for us to bring that total to $11 million. We acquired the building when Art Van went through bankruptcy proceedings for $3.2 million. So that leaves us about $7.8 million to renovate the interior and make room for 3 other agencies that will be human service oriented programs that will allow us to have kind of a one-stop service facility for health-related matters in Bay County along a major thoroughfare on Wilder Road that does have access with public transportation. So it's an ideal site, and a very beautiful building, and it's going to be even more beautiful when the renovation is complete.
And do you have the other tenants identified yet?
Well, we're still working through it. I'm not sure if they've. I know one is a state agency, a major state agency, and then two others are nonprofits, local.
And is there
all in the health? Yeah,
is there
all in health area?
Is there a time frame for completing this project?
We were told that it would take 12 months from beginning to end. So we're certainly hopeful that time frame is accurate, and so far we're on schedule.
So what else is happening in Bay County that we should be aware of now? What are the big issues facing you today?
Well, of course, always is economic development and job creation and more opportunities for our younger people and really all age groups, whether you're semi-retired or partially retired or whether you're a young person looking to establish a career. We, have to continue to be focused on economic development initiatives that will bring additional jobs to Bay County. As you know, we've talked in the past about SK Siltron and Merson over in Bay City and Vantage Plastics, a great new company that the vice president recently visited and hosted somewhat by our good friend Glenn Rowley, the supervisor of Bangor Township. And so that is another major investment that is a 325,000 square foot facility that's been renovated and will be creating more and more jobs in advanced manufacturing relative to basically materials, hard materials and plastics that are utilized in so many of our products in the sporting area as well as automobiles and a number of other areas. So one of the things, Art, I don't know if you saw a news release, I think yesterday, that came out from Bay Future, is a new study that is going to basically provide a blueprint to drive meaningful growth in 4 districts in Bay County. And those districts would be Woodside Avenue in Essexville, Wilder Road from Bangor Road to Euclid, Euclid Avenue from the M247 split to Salzburg, and also the M13 corridor encompassing Kilcullen Township, Fraser Township, Pinconning Township, as well as the city of Pinconning. And the study would basically help shape kind of where we can identify opportunities for investors looking at Bay County and transforming information into opportunity.
Let me ask you this, Jim, because there's right now this region, if we look at the Great Lakes Bay region, is set to possibly lead the state in economic development. We've got Corning, who has increased their investment to $1.5 billion. They're going to be looking for about 1,500 employees. Hemlock Semiconductor's looking for a couple of hundred. SK Siltron's looking for employees. Merson and the other companies you mentioned looking for employees. Where are we going to find them? And then the big question is, where are we going to house them? So if we look at Bay County, do you see any housing developments on the horizon?
Yes, there has been a major development proposed up in the city of Pinconning at an old industrial site, and I know there's a developer looking at creating additional housing up in northern Bay County and in the Pinconning area. There are also discussions with Jerry Spencer and the folks at Monitor Township relative to a site along Midland Road that could possibly we could do a brownfield redevelopment zone and secure money to clean up some of the existing contamination, and then through a TIF, a tax increment financing, allow people to get into quality, new, affordable housing. When I say affordable, it's not government subsidized. It's just reasonably priced, as we've discussed before. At the cost of building a brand new custom home can be $300 a square foot. And so that is a price that's sometimes out of the reach of a younger couple or a younger individual starting out who wants to relocate to Bay County. But our Brownfield Redevelopment Authority is working on looking at that site and working with Monitor Township to see if that would be helpful for some of the SK Siltron folks that are moving into the area to fill those positions. And there are more growth. I know we have probably 400 or so jobs that have been filled, but we have another 500 that are online to be opening. The key, as you mentioned, aside from working in Bay County and Saginaw Midland, we also desire them to reside here for our population growth, because that is so important relative to federal and state government revenue sharing to local units of government, also to distribution of the revenue for public schools, which is based on student enrollment and population, as well as our road funding, which takes into account under Public Act 51 miles of roads as well as population. So population is critical. We've kind of, I think, stemmed the loss that we've seen over the last few decades, and we've stabilized in Bay County and seeing a little bit of growth. But we need to see more growth to continue to be a vibrant community that will attract visitors, tourists, as well as hopefully people that will decide this is a great place to raise a family and start a great career. One of the advantages that we have over some other regions in the state is the excellent schools that we have. Delta College, I would love to highlight their activities with manufacturing, training, working with SK Siltron and other advanced technology manufacturing entities and companies, as well as Saginaw Valley State University, Michigan Works, a number of other programs that help train our local workforce for the increasing demands that are seen even in advanced manufacturing.
All right, Jim, hang on. I'm going to take a break, and we'll be back. We're talking to Jim Barsha. He is the Bay County Executive, and we'll have more when we return.
Looking for top quality seafood at
Jim Barsha, the Bay County Executive. Jim, let's talk budgets and money for a minute. A particular emphasis on retirement plans for various county factions. How are you doing at funding those?
Yes, that's one of the real bright spots in Bay County. We're funded at about 125% of our required revenue to pay all of our retirees who retire from their Bay County service. And corrections officers and deputies in law enforcement at county level here in Bay County are actually funded a little higher. So we're fine on that score. And also, we were just informed last week again that we have received again the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting from the Government Finance Officers Association, which is a national organization. And I think we've received that certificate every year for about the last 25 years. So it speaks well of our finance department in terms of keeping close track of all of the spending and revenue in Bay County, and we're in good shape financially. We have a $4 or $5 million fund balance, somewhere in between, and then everything is fully funded, and we have virtually almost no debt. So as far as bonds, there was a small project done at the community center some years ago, improving the kitchen, and it was a small bond, and I think that remains to be paid off. Way less than $1 million. But other than that, we're in very good shape financially, and I'm very indebted to all of the dedicated staff in our finance department that do such a good job communicating to the administration, to me, as well as to our Board of Commissioners, so that we can be prudent financially on behalf of the taxpayers of Bay County. I would like to also say another exciting thing that our Brownfield Redevelopment Authority has been active in, and that is supporting Bay Valley Resorts efforts out there to basically renovate. We have some wonderful developers that have a national reputation and resorts across the country who decided to invest in Bay Valley. And so we have the Bay County Board of Commissioners, with my support, approved tax increment financing, which will collect all current revenue, but over the next 10 years, the increases in revenue after the $15 million of investment for renovation, then we would capture at the end of 10 years all of that new investment and assessment. However, it served as the incentive for this group of young investors to come in and expend about $15 million. And so we're looking forward to Bay Valley Resort being kind of renovated, refurbished, if you will, and again, once again, becoming a major attraction to the area with a wonderful golf course and Heatherfield's restaurant and the rooms and the location right here in the middle of the Tri-Cities.
So is the golf course now brought back into the fold so that it's all one property now?
Yes, it sure will be. The golf course is going to be highly featured, and from talking to the developers, they want to invest a large amount of money into the golf course as well as the other amenities offered out at Bay Valley, especially the restaurants and the interior of the building, which just needs updating because it opened way back in 1972, and it's had some renovations over the decades. But this is going to be, I think, something that will make Bay Valley Resort sparkle, and we're certainly looking forward to see that change come about. And we were happy in Bay County to support that effort.
And it would, I can remember I moved here in '74. It was the premier resort in the area. I mean, it was the place to go.
We had a lot of celebrities, Art, that stayed there. I know Charlton Heston, the president of the NRA, had property up in Roscommon, and he used to rent a car in Detroit, drive up, spend the night in Bay Valley, and then proceed to his property the next day and dine. I know Robert Wagner, Barbara Streisand, and Don Johnson, a host of other celebrities, probably too numerous to mention, stayed at Bay Valley back in the 70s and the 80s during its heyday when it was relatively new.
Have they started work?
I'm not sure if they've begun work, but I know they're very, very anxious to get started, so I wouldn't be surprised if they have. We also have forwarded to Eagle the possibility of if there's any reimbursement or funding from the state, the federal funding to clean up any existing contamination out there. We don't believe it was ever an industrial site. However, there may be some asbestos that has to be dealt with back because it was used extensively in construction back in the late 60s and early 70s. So, that may be a possibility, but we're excited about the new team that's taking ownership. And I know Larry Valley was a great guy. He was the former owner of Bay Valley, and I know he had a lot of things going around the country, so it was difficult to keep on top of everything. But he was certainly excited when he took possession, and I know he's excited to see the kind of investment that will occur with the new owners.
Be nice. All right, hang on, Jim. One more segment coming up after these notes.
Tired of worrying about your roof?
For maintenance over the years, and so it hopefully will be a beautiful new resort that we can all frequent right in Bay County and welcome visitors from throughout the state to stay there, as well as the other wonderful housing opportunities that we have in our local scene here in Bay County. I would like to mention too, Art, if there are any parents out there listening today on the program, that I'd just like to remind those that have children or grandchildren, our summer recreation program at the Bay County Community Center is open for children between the ages of 5 and 14 years of age, and the program will run from June 10th through July 31st between 8 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. and costs $135 per child. But that does include lunch, sports clinics, educational activities, arts and crafts, field trips, and much more in the way of recreation for our younger residents. And especially if the parents would like a little break from 8 until 12:30, that's a safe environment where their children and grandchildren can interact with their peers and enjoy the many recreational opportunities through the summer program there. And then also one other mention, and that would be there is free summer skating for all students between grades kindergarten through 7th grade at our Civic Arena during a public skating session sign-up. If they'd like to stop in and get signed up, passes are valid throughout the summer, and skate rental is only $3 if they don't have skates. So the Civic Arena has a 3-on-3 youth hockey league that will also start on June 9th and go through July 21st. So we're hopeful that our younger population will have an enjoyable summer and also a safe summer and bountiful recreational opportunities.
So let's talk about the Civic Arena, the ice arena, for a moment. How is it doing, and has it lived up to expectations?
It has. I was a little concerned back when I was a member of Congress in the 90s when it was about a $20 million bond, I think the county issued for the construction of the Civic Arena. And I know it is an expensive form of recreation for some families. Skating is not a cheap activity. However, after becoming the county executive and being out at many of the tournaments that are held there, we have 4 or 5 big tournaments each year that draw hundreds and hundreds of people into Bay City and Bay County from as far away as Canada and Ohio and throughout Michigan, northern Michigan. People come to use the double sheets of Olympic size ice at the arena. And, it was a few years ago that I met Dylan Larkin, who came up to Bay City and actually went over to St. Lawrence Brothers and with, I think, 3 of his fellow teammates. And he posed for selfies and passed out candy and nuts from St. Lawrence. We had about 500 people come out to meet him, and he did present a nice, generous check to the Civic Arena on behalf of the team, and it was really interesting to listen